Okay, today's question: where are the dollars typically found in a recovery audit? This is a difficult question to answer because it can vary so much from audit to audit, but I'm going to at least attempt to tackle this question in three categories. So in a retail recovery audit, in a contract compliance recovery audit, and in a statement or credit recovery audit. Where do we typically see the dollars coming in? What are the big areas? Again, caveat, in all of these areas, it depends. That's the real answer. It depends on the organization we're auditing and kind of what's happening in their environment. But, in the spirit of the question, I want to address it. So at retail recovery audit, where do we typically see the dollars come in? The area that comes to my mind off the top of my head is rebates, allowances, and special event and promotional pricing. Okay, so rebates, allowances, special event, and promotional pricing. Why do I think that these are commonly large opportunities to find dollars that have leaked through and need to be recovered? Because these are so often negotiated on a one-off basis. So as people shift chairs, it gets lost. You don't get the deal you thought you got, and you're paying more than you should. Recovery audit firm comes in and finds it and is able to bring those dollars back in. Again, dozens to hundreds of other examples we could go through, but that's the first one that comes to my head when I think of a retail recovery audit. So rebates, allowances, special pricing, promotional pricing. Contract compliance audits, so many different areas. It depends on what you're auditing, but things we're looking for. Top two, I would say we're looking for cost pass-through and cost plus environments. So think of like a HVAC supplier that is supposed to bill, cost plus 20% on all materials they use. It's just common that billing teams don't actually follow through on that accurately, not because of any, bad intention, but just because that's not the same deal they have negotiated with all their customers. And so they kind of fall back on muscle memory. Labor, services, so time, when we're talking about hourly employees or cost per service. So I'm out walking right now, think of a lawn mowing service. If they bill on a schedule for doing the lawn mowing, it's not uncommon to have missed stops occur, and you end up paying for them anyways. So again, dozens to hundreds of other examples I could go through, but those two come to my mind when I think of a contract compliance audit. A statement or a credit recovery audit. Obviously, all the findings there are going to come from credits. Where do we see those credits originating from? I would put that into a couple of categories. Duplicate payments. It's very common that a duplicate payment occurs, and the way that a vendor accounts for that is to put a credit on the statement, and we come in a couple of years later and find out that statement hasn't been executed on, and those dollars are available to be taken. And then the other thing that comes to my mind a ton is prepays. So you prepay, you have a reserve, you have some situation where you've agreed to give that money to that vendor, that supplier early, and then things change. You don't use it all, and 4 or 5 years later, it's still sitting there on account. Totally different people at your organization are running that relationship, and they have no idea the money's there until a recovery audit firm has that kind of account reconciliation directly with them. So those are the three examples that come to my mind as kind of common places we see the dollars come in on retail recovery audits, contract compliance audits, and statement recovery audits. I could jump in on construction audits as well. I probably will on a later video do some construction audit content. Yeah, that's what comes to my mind. Hope you all are having a great Tuesday. And if you got this far in the video, thanks again. Bye.